Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome to Bump in the Mic, where we cover everything supernatural, paranormal, downright weird. And today I've got a good one. Dude, have you heard about the Dyatlov Pass Incident?
I have heard a little bit about this whole thing, and it's absolutely insane. Like, I can't believe that people as a whole haven't heard more about this.
No, it's crazy. Like it's wild enough that it happened, I think, in like 1956 or something, and they even
59.
was it 59?
It
Yeah,
was, yeah.
it was 59, I guess, and then they reopened an investigation into it in 2019. Like all this time later, they're like, "Yo, what the hell happened?"
Yeah, I mean those crazy Russians, right? Like, who knows?
It's crazy over there. I mean, if you have you seen them just driving? Like it is absolutely insane over there. So it doesn't like boggle my mind that something crazy would happen like this, but it's still mind boggling.
Yeah, and who knows? Like, ever since this happened, right? Like, all of the files were classified. Like, the military, the Russian military, did an investigation into this and immediately classified all the files and shut up about it.
Yeah, dude. That's what's crazy. And then even when they actually like finally released the findings as to like how these people died, they just said that it was they were killed by a compelling natural force, and that was the official like their
Yeah,
official.
and where have you ever heard that before? Like, literally nowhere, right? Like,
No.
it's so, like, as to set the stage here a little bit. So yeah, 1959, Russia, 20, like, early 20s-year-old man named Igor Dyatlov, or however you want to pronounce it, led a skiing expedition across the northern Ural Mountains. The goal was to reach a peak there called Oratin and earn some sort of like ski expedition hiking certification for like mountaineering. Basically, like, one of the highest mountaineering certifications you can earn in the Russian culture at that time. So that was like the goal, right? Get across this mountain, get to that peak, earn the certification, profit, right? So there were, what, nine of them?
I believe
Something
so,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
uh, Let me.
And none of them made it. They all died.
Yeah. And in a pretty crazy way. Like, yeah, I guess eventually they had told people they were going out on this thing, and they hit the point where they were going to camp in this pass. And it was known to be a dangerous pass, from what I can see, but they never showed back up. So, I mean, eventually they're like, oh, we have to go find these guys. And when they got there, what they saw was, it made no sense. Like they said, first off, they found the tents, and when they found the tents, um, which were completely normal, they weren't like covered, they weren't buried, anything like that. But for some reason, at the same time, in the middle of the night, these people decided to cut their way out of their tents. They didn't use the they didn't use zippers or whatever. However, they fastened their tents. That was still completely fastened. They didn't just go out like a normal person would. They cut through the sides. They cut their way out, and they fled into a blizzard with nightgowns, like pajamas, no shoes, nothing. And they just fled out into the snow. And when they found these people, the causes of death for each of them varied. Some were, in fact, hypothermia, where they died by the elements, but others had fractured skulls, blunt force trauma to the face, the head, and then you had two of the bodies were missing their eyes. One body was missing a tongue, and another guy was missing his eyebrows. So it's not like a I froze and my eyebrows fell off kind of thing.
No, 100%. And like you said, like, they started out, like, late, like, January 27th of 1959, right? They documented this. They took photos. They had journals. People knew that they were setting out on this expedition, and their journals and photographs that were recovered showed them having like a great time. They were all laughing. They were throwing snowballs at each other, like just a group of friends out having the adventure of a lifetime. February 1st was the last documented incident of any of them being alive, and it was um, theorized that that was the night that they had pitched camp and then cut their way out of their tent, and all nine of them went down slope into the darkness, never to be seen alive again. Um, February 26th, so almost an entire month later, is when their search party came out and found them, because they had missed several check-ins at that point, and then obviously the government and the families and stuff sent search parties out to find them. Their campsite was discovered on the 26th, and then down slope they found five of the bodies, like you said, in hypothermic states with all sorts of strange injuries on them, just kind of spread out amongst this tree line several miles downhill from where they were camped. But it wasn't until May of that year, so 3 more months, where the other four were discovered, and that's when it got really bizarre.
Well, yeah. And if from what I could see, some of them actually apparently survived a little longer, and they actually took clothes from the people that had already passed away. So that even opens more questions as to you still have tents, you have shelter. Why would you choose to stay out, hiding in the elements, try to take clothes? So they obviously knew they were cold. They took clothes from the already deceased bodies and then retreated farther away from camp. Like it's crazy. Them finding these bodies, yeah, the government, they're literally trying to piece this together and they can't do it. And that's where we said it earlier. Their best conclusion was a compelling natural force.
Right, which is like the most bullshit explanation for we don't know, but we're going to sound smart about it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because the four that they went and found later, right, months later, I'm going to look at their names here because I'm going to butcher them no matter what. So the Thibaut Brignoli was one of them, found in a ravine with his skull crushed, like you mentioned. Dubinina and Zolotarovia had multiple rib fractures, so severe that the investigators that found these bodies said that their injuries were comparable to like a very bad car wreck. And the last one, Dubinina, like her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips were missing.
Yes.
But the weird part is there was no external bruising, no external wounds on the bodies. So it's as if the damage came from within them outwards. So I don't know how you explain ribs fracturing and skulls getting crushed without some sort of external injury on that body.
It's got to be a compelling natural force. Yeah,
Yeah, an overwhelming natural force of some kind.
yeah, I mean, now they do have like there is a litany of theories. So like a lot of the ones I was seeing, they range all the way from UFOs to another interesting one they said was ball lightning, but I don't know how that would like fry your eyes out of your head and stuff like that. They're also saying uh infrasound induced panic, that these people, there was some kind of sound waves and these people completely lost their minds. And they've also said that it could have been something even crazy as conflict with locals, all the way into other theories say it was a spy meeting with the Western Bloc that was botched. So
If so, there'd be external injury, right? Like, I don't know of a tool on the planet today that can cause injuries first internally going out, right?
mm,
Like, it doesn't make like interesting. So you say like struggle with the locals. That was the very first like assumption of what happened to these people. It's like, oh, they got in a fight with the indigenous people, the Manzi, in this area, who are like the mountain tribal people. Interestingly enough, the slope that this group of expeditioners was camped on was on the slope of Mount Kolotsiakl, which in Manzi means mountain of the dead.
Yeah.
Um, so when they discovered these bodies, the investigation initially like, oh, the freaking Manzis got them. But that was pretty quickly dispelled when they realized, hey, there's not any signs of struggle here. There's no external injuries. Like no human being could have caused these injuries without other signs and symptoms being present, right? So,
It's a weird one, and that's why I get why they were jumbled about it, because what could do it? I mean, it could be something like a UFO. Maybe they ended up on the wrong side. I've recently reviewed a few stories of people that encountered UFOs, and they encounter like the survivors. They encountered crazy stuff. Like they were attacked with a certain thing that like it burned them with radiation that did certain things. So it could be that they did encounter a UFO, that they were attacked by something that we can't comprehend. So that like we're trying to figure out these injuries from ways that we know people would be injured, but that might not be the case.
right. And you got to take everything in totality, right? Like I keep going back to the no external injuries because that's what freaks me out about this whole thing. But um, obviously the search parties went and found the bodies. But then after that, after the initial investigation was done, Russian military personnel were spotted investigating the scene and being around, which you wouldn't expect in just a regular like search and rescue endeavor, right? Especially after the bodies have been found. The military shows up. And then locals in towns and stuff at the bottom of the mountain reported seeing strange orange globes floating in the sky around about the time these folks went missing. And that's still unexplained. The Russian government was very quick to put a kibosh on anything. And their official story citing the compelling natural forces was an avalanche. Right. They said an avalanche came, trapped them in their tents. That's why they had to cut their way out. And then they went down slope to try to find something. And eventually the snow just crushed them and killed them.
I did hear that. They had a theory about they called it a very specific one, a slab avalanche.
Right. Yeah. But if you look into that at all, like, and I don't know anything about avalanches, but allegedly, like the slope of the mountain they were found on was not conducive to a slab avalanche. Again, there was no injury that matched anything an avalanche would do, and there weren't any evidence of snowfall consistent with an avalanche after the fact. Like normally you'd see sheets and everything stacked up, or at least some disturbance in the landscape to support that conclusion, but that just wasn't there. It was very clearly like, let's slap a band-aid on this thing called an avalanche and go about our business, you know?
Yeah, like the tents weren't covered when they got there, so you can't say it's like, oh, they got buried by an avalanche. It didn't just magically uncover the tents, and like I'm not a huge like avalanche expert, but like I've never like I wouldn't figure an avalanche would tear your eyes, your tongue out, and your take your eyebrows off. Like
Right. Like
I feel like it would just bury you.
I can't think of a single way. And again, I'm no, mountaineer avalanche expert, but like crushing your skull with no evidence of external injury, removing, yeah, your lips and your tongue. Like we've all seen Dumb and Dumber, right? Where he licks the pole and he gets his tongue stuck. But outside of that, like I just don't buy it.
Yeah. Like how fast would that avalanche have to be moving to rip your eyebrows and your lips off? Like that's
Faster than that slope would have allowed for sure.
that's what I'm figuring. Like it just doesn't make sense. And that's why it like still didn't make sense because like I was saying, they reopened that investigation in 2019 and they basically came up with nothing again. So they're just like, oh yeah, it was either an avalanche or they're like it was a slab avalanche or hypothermia or we don't know, but they're like there was no panic really, it seemed like, but they had a chance to save themselves and did so. We don't know.
Yeah. And after they reopened that investigation, right? They that's when they really cemented the fact of this must have been an avalanche because they used like computer simulations and all kinds of like weather data from back in those days. And they're like, oh yeah, it was definitely an avalanche. Until
Mhm.
one of those scientists opened their eyes and they're like, wait a minute, the search team took photographs and documented footprints in the snow leading from the tents down this slope. if this was an avalanche, there wouldn't be any freaking footprints.
Yeah, you're
Like
just
they would have
getting
been
like
covered up.
taken. I'm sorry too. I
Right.
botched that. The official 2019 um, findings said there was no panic, but they had no chance to save themselves under the circumstances, and they believe that. Again, they said they believe it was a slab avalanche, and other than that, they don't know. So,
Yeah, and that's obviously just a theory, right? Like I know that shortly after the last group of bodies were found, like the tabloids picked up on this and they started running wild with the stories of a Yeti finding this group and killing all of them. And that was kind of like evidenced by a journal entry in one of those hikers' journals saying that now they know the snowman exists. Um, which they don't
I
know
was
if
kind
that
of
was just
wondering
some
that.
kind of inside joke that was, present amongst that group, like talking about themselves being snowmen, or if they had seen something. Like, there's no evidence to support anything, but that's what the tabloids ran with, at least for some time before it sort of fizzled out. But
I mean, it would make sense. Strange injuries. For whatever reason, I still don't understand why, even if you were under attack, if you had to flee your tent, I still don't know why you would cut your way out of your own tent. Like that makes no sense to me. But
yeah, unless
obviously,
you're in a
panic.
super hurry, like,
It's like a
I don't
panic.
know,
So yeah, and then
total panic.
they did release the entire list of people and the cause of death. So yeah, you had one, two, three, four, five, six. You had six from hypothermia and one from internal bleeding from severe chest trauma. And then you have fatal skull injuries, another one with severe chest trauma. Um, I mean, yeah, something happened. Like, A, why would you flee? How did these injuries get caused? How are you missing body parts from an avalanche? And if it was an avalanche, the people that were proven to have survived past that, why would they not go back to shelter? Why would they not get the people's gear that they needed and then go back to the tents? Why would they choose to flee farther?
With nothing, with their pajamas, and some of the footprints that were documented were barefoot, like they didn't even have their shoes with them. So they left in a hurry. We still don't know why, and maybe nobody does. Like, if there's somebody from like the Russian intelligence service that's watching this and wants to send us an email with a file attached, that'd be freaking swell. But
Yeah, it's that might be the only thing at this point because I did kind of lean into like looking at it from if it was like a Yeti or something like that. Because you know what? If I was the government and they're like, oh, this is a Yeti attack, I would probably say something too, like, oh, it's a compelling natural force. Like it was pretty compelling. Like a
yeah,
huge
like
Yeti.
you can't come out in like an official record and say, "Hey, Yeti's confirmed. 9
Mhm.
people just killed by one." You know what I mean? Like I understand that, but the fact that they wrote it off almost insultingly as an avalanche and closed the case and have been more than just hush hush about it, like it kind of gets the mind working on, okay, what are they hiding? What was going on? Like this was kind of the start of the Cold War there a little bit. Like it was a military testing site. Was there some sort of weapon they were exposed to? Like who knows, right? But the
Mhm.
lack of answers is what spirals the thoughts into all the crazy stuff and just fuels that fire.
Yeah. It's a weird one. And I honestly don't know if even the government knows because I'm like, if they knew and they tried to bury it, why would they reopen it in 2019? Like, I'm like,
Right.
they're
Yeah, unless it's just another cover, a layer of secrecy to that. But it's like if recent times have told us anything, it's like if you just be honest about stuff, people won't even pay attention to it. Because look at what the Pentagon did a couple years ago, and they basically came out and said, "Hey, aliens are real. They come from the ocean. Have fun." Like nobody cared, man. Nobody gave.
they chose the right time to do that though because they chose a time when everybody was super pissed off. It's like COVID's going on, everybody's stuck at home. There's all this other bullshit happening. We can't like everybody's just trying to make ends meet, and they're like, "Yeah, there's aliens." Like, yeah, I don't like. Okay, later, later.
Yeah, but where's the toilet paper, man? Like I don't care about your aliens.
Yeah, like, is there anything about that that's gonna like uh lower my taxes? Like, is that gonna pay my mortgage? Like, no,
Right.
like okay,
When's those stimulus checks coming? You know what I mean? Wild. But I
yeah,
mean, this whole thing. So this place, right? It's called the Dyatlov Pass now. They renamed that whole mountain because of this incident, and now we just know of this whole story as the Dyatlov Pass Incident. And it's not just a story about how 9 people died tragically, but also it's a lesson in how much we don't understand. Like what made them run into the dark? Like was it the mountain, the wind, the Cold War, or something stranger? And maybe the truth's still buried in the snow, still waiting for a thaw that's never going to come. But there's way more questions than answers, which is common with, all of these things that we talk about. But the fact that this one was buried so deeply, not just in the snow, but in government record, really stands out as like, okay, there's something going on here that they don't want us to know about.
yeah. And I was just looking into the whole actual 2019 investigation. When they reopened it, they only considered three possible explanations. They wouldn't consider anything else. The three being an avalanche, a slab avalanche, and a hurricane. So anything other than that, they didn't even consider or look into it. They had previously talked about it being some kind of murder, like they turned on each other, something like this, but they completely discounted that and said they would only look into those three possibilities.
Yeah. And on another thing, and some of the clothing they recovered from the bodies and the campsite tested positive for trace radiation.
That's right.
Like, what's going on that mountain, man? Like,
It's I mean, we'll get into a lot of these incidents on this channel, but there's like a lot of these where it's like you were saying, I don't know if we'll ever get answers. The only people that probably know what happened there died there. So
yeah, yeah, like the spirits of the dead are the only ones that really know, and that's true of all of these types of stories, right? Well, I want to know what like you, the viewers at home, think about this. Have you heard about the Dyatlov Pass? Have you been up that way? Like, what do you think about this whole thing? Is it some kind of crazy avalanche that went wrong, some sort of, you know, natural force or something far stranger? Yeti, nuclear weapons testing? Like, who knows? We don't have an answer, but if you have a theory, we want to hear it.
yeah, absolutely. Any any kind of answers to even consider would be awesome. Like because this is it truly is mind boggling.
Yeah, and we've come up with the most, accurate information that we could find through our research, but normally when you dive into stuff like this, you can at least find some sort of maybe even off the wall explanation for
Yeah,
like what was going on.
yeah. Because
Not in this case, right?
I
Come,
would love to hear all of it. I'm reading the arguments against each of them, and I'm like, this is crazy. Each theory that they have for what happened, there's an argument against it, and like even the avalanche thing, they're now coming up and saying the location of the incident did not have any avalanches nor any signs of avalanches after this. Um, More than 100 expeditions have taken place in the region since the incident, and every one of them has been fine. And there has never been an avalanche reported. They also analyzed the slope and the terrain, and it showed that if there was an avalanche in that area when they analyzed this terrain, that it would not have come anywhere near their tents. That it would have gone in a completely different direction. They've uh, they've covered all the theories that the Russian government came out with and have basically debunked them. So it's like you were saying, if anybody out there has maybe a theory that the Russian government didn't want to consider, we would definitely love to hear it.
yeah, and it's kind of a unique case in that in this incident in particular, we have actual hard science debunking the official record. Right. With a lot of this stuff, it's like lots of theories and conspiracies, and well, it's got to be the Sandman or something crazy. And then all of the science and evidence points to some logical conclusion, but it's opposite here. Like all of the science and evidence points to something that nobody can explain. So I don't know, like, how they will justify that going forward or what, like, the next time they open it up is going to be. Um, but it's just eerie as hell and will remain that way probably forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if at this point, I mean, it's been so long now, how do you even go back to figuring it out?
Yeah, and we may not. So we'll just be honest with ourselves there. But I guess hit us up if you got any theories, if you think it was something that we didn't even talk about, or if you agree with something we said here on this episode. Like, let us know. We want you to be engaged in this part of the conversation. If you are up in that area anytime in the future and you want to go on an expedition up Dyatlov Pass, send us an email. We'll friggin' put you on live and we'll talk you through this whole thing until suddenly a compelling natural force ends that live prematurely, right?
And then the good news is we would be here safe in the comfort of our own homes to tell your story.
Nice heated environment. Yeah, no tents, no Yetis, no radiation, but we'll get the last word, I promise. So, well, no matter what happened, the most compelling natural force in the universe is the force of that subscribe button, right? So if you can just mountaineer your way over to that button and hit it, we can keep doing stuff like this, and we greatly appreciate it, guys. We're getting dangerously close to that 100 subscriber mark, so stay tuned, and we'll roll our live up in the Colorado mountains in Estes for the Stanley Hotel tours, as part of our cryptid countdown up in Colorado. So
Yeah, because
smash
if
that subscribe button, and we'll see you in Colorado.
yeah, and if you guys haven't already watched the video where we talk about what we're doing, we're trying to hit that 100 uh, subscriber count, and when we do, we'll be taking it over and hanging out in a haunted hotel room where we'll get to live stream with you guys and record videos. So help us make it happen, and we'd love to bring you along.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining us, guys, and we'll catch you next time here on the Bump of the Mic. We'll see you.
See you guys.